Remember the other day when Mark Carney was speaking to a group of young people, making a ridiculous claim that they had to sacrifice more, as if they haven't had to sacrifice enough? Well, Pierre Poilievre held a rally today. Youth for Pierre Poilievre. You see the signs right here. It's basically a conservative youth movement that Pierre Poilievre and a bunch of the conservative caucus has been kind of really getting into for the past little while. It's great to see. You had a great turnout here tonight. And Pierre Poilievre is about to take Mark Carney's message and shove it you-know-where. And this is what young people want to hear. This is what they want to see. This is what they want. This is why they voted for change, not out of fear. So we're going to have a look at this video. Now, before we do, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps grow the channel. I appreciate you guys so much for that. So I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's 46 minutes. But I just want to play this clip here, and then we'll talk about it.
You all heard Mark Carney gave this big, hyped-up speech. It was an address to the nation. He pulled these poor young people into a lecture hall. And boy, did he ever give them a sleepy lecture. It was very, very slow and very, very boring. It was almost like a gigantic tranquilizer. But you know, there was something different about this particular speech, and he's been making all these grand promises, but that was not the case in this speech. Gone were the grand promises, replaced with grim warnings. He said that things are going to get worse, and that change will take a very long time, after he had promised to move at unimaginable speeds. And then he let the truth out of the bag. He said young people are going to have to make more sacrifices. More sacrifices. Now, no more Mr. Carney, the young people in this room and across this country have already sacrificed enough. They have worked hard, they've done everything right, and they deserve a bright future of homes, jobs, and hope. Think of what you've already sacrificed for this costly Liberal government. You've sacrificed home ownership after they doubled the cost of buying a home. You've sacrificed your nutrition and health after Liberal food inflation drove up the costs at the grocery store. You sacrificed your paycheck at the altar of high Liberal income taxes. You sacrificed even your job to employment-killing taxes, red tape, and temporary foreign worker programs. In fact, this generation, and I mean this literally, this generation has sacrificed more than any, this young generation, I mean, has sacrificed more than any generation since the Second World War. There is no doubt in my mind that all of you are working harder and longer for less than your parents and probably your grandparents. And it hasn't been since the heroes that won us our freedom in the 40s that we have seen a generation work so hard and so long for so little, and all because of Liberal policies that have deprived you of the basics that you should have been able to take for granted here in Canada. Let's start with jobs. Youth unemployment today is 15%, the highest in a decade and a half. It is up from 13.7 when Mark Carney took office only 7 months ago, after he promised he would create more jobs. In fact, it's worse than that. It's not just the unemployment rate. It's the 3-decade record in the lows for the employment rate. Only 53% of youth who are between the ages of 15 and 24 are working. 53% is the lowest level since 1998. And most of you in this room weren't even born in 1998. That's how bad it is. And many of you are asking, as you drive around town, dropping off your resumes, you ask, what did I do wrong? Why can't I find a place to work? Hundreds and hundreds of resumes, no phone calls returned. The answer is, you did absolutely nothing wrong. You did everything right. Your phone should be ringing off the hook with job offers because you are qualified and you have been preparing for this moment to contribute to our economy. And my message to you is that Conservatives will fight for your jobs, and better than that, we will put in place the policies that will allow you to have a job again.
And that's a great message for Pierre to send, because as we all know, I don't know if many of you have been looking for jobs recently. I know some of you are retired and whatnot, but my God, it took me 3 months to find a job. Over 150 resumes. I got about 5 interviews. That's not what a thriving economy looks like. The Liberals can pound their chest and say, look how good we're doing, all they want. But when you're in reality, in the real world, and you're trying to get a job and there's just nothing there, Pierre's right. You're going to feel like, okay, what am I doing wrong here? It's like, if you're applying for that many jobs, you're not doing anything wrong. You should have a job, especially considering, like, I've done customer service, warehouse work, forklift, picking orders, shipping and receiving. I should have been able to find something fairly quickly. I always hear it from people who were, my age in the 60s and 70s, like people my parents' age. They say, well, back when I was your age, if I lost my job, I could go across the street or just down the street and I'd have a new job by the end of the day or by the end of the week. That sounds like you're living on Mars compared to what it's like now. That's why we need change.
And I want to invite up on the stage an incredible young man, Liam. Liam, get up here and tell us about the state of jobs in this country. Where's Liam? There's Liam.
Okay, so I did kind of just go over that, so we'll cut it off there, but this is why I think that Pierre Poilievre is the right guy, because, again, traditionally, I do not trust politicians. And I'm not saying I fully trust Pierre Poilievre, and I think that's silly to fully trust him because he hasn't been in office yet. That being said, give him a chance. Hold him accountable if he screws up. We have to not be biased. And we have to make sure we hold him accountable, because look at what happens when parties aren't held accountable. And that's the one biggest difference that I see between... There's obviously many differences, but for those who don't see the differences, maybe they don't follow politics that much, one of the biggest differences between the Conservatives and the Liberals is that for some reason, this country just defaults to voting Liberal. Look at what was happening to Justin Trudeau. He was going to get blown out of the water by Pierre Poilievre. But they pulled a switcheroo, and then people felt safe to vote Liberal again. A lot of young people were told, hey, this isn't a Liberal problem, it's a Trudeau problem. Trudeau's gone, so it's okay, and they believed it. You're seeing some people have buyer's remorse. The Conservatives are always held accountable. When they don't do things that are good, they get voted out. It's very hard for like a 3-term Conservative prime minister in this country. It's happened with Stephen Harper. And it should happen now with Pierre, if he does his job. And that's the thing where it's like, if you don't think that politicians will help you, Pierre Poilievre knows that people are going to turn on him quicker than they would turn on the Liberals. So if Pierre Poilievre does not do his job, he loses his. So he actually has more of an incentive, where the Liberals know that they can screw things up and still win a few elections, which is wild and insane to me, but that's the world we live in. So for those of you who know people who say, I'm not voting for Pierre, he's just like the Liberals, keep in mind that Pierre will be held accountable. Way more so than Mark Carney and Justin Trudeau. That motivates him to do good things, because he wants to be prime minister for as long as possible, right? Like anyone would, any politician would. Justin Trudeau got 10 years and screwed up basically every year, and somehow won 2 more elections before Canadians finally turned on him. Pierre does not have that luxury. And I want to make sure people know that, so please don't forget to like, comment, share this video, subscribe if you can. I appreciate you, and I'll be back shortly with a new one.